Previously on.
Previously on.
Previously on.
Previously on.
Previously on.
Previously on.
Previously on the recap sequence.
Hey folks, welcome to the recap sequence. It is a rainy Saturday, but it's a great Saturday because it's Marvel D3 is underway.
Yes,
Or Disney.
Disney's
Marvel,
D23.
whatever you call it, is happening. So we will have some stuff to talk about on the second half when it comes to that. But first of all, Deadpool seems to be doing quite well at the box office. So I kind of had to check it out. I'm pretty sure you guys did.
Yes. And we should mention that by you guys, of course, we couldn't do this chat without our Marvel Senior Cinematic Movie correspondent, Mr. Brent O'Hara. How are you, sir?
Hey guys, doing great. Great.
Welcome back to the show. It's been a few episodes.
We talked about this before we got on with Brent. We actually haven't talked to you, Brent, since we did our stand behind the toy box of Deadpool Wolverine at East Coast Comic Expo, sir. So thank you once again to you and your team for putting on one hell of a show again.
Hey, thanks. Yes, we had a great show this year. And there's other shows that have continued on since there's quite a few things going on with the Dartmouth Comics Festival happening this weekend, this Sunday, and then recently there in your guys' territory with the Freddie Beach Fan Fest there, so it's neat, how the community that we have, this comics creators that we have right here in our backyard per se, within the Maritimes, we're having these more and more opportunities, and I'm noticing you guys have had lots of great conversations with a lot of these talented writers and artists, and it's great to see the highlighting going on for the creative comic creators right here in our area. And hey, thank you guys for being a part of that and really celebrating and shining a light on these creators in our community.
It's our pleasure, and
we love doing it.
And it's as a direct result of being able to go to shows like East Coast Comic Expo. I mean, we've lined up some calls just from meeting the folks that we always see our regular folks, which is great. But the last few shows that we've gone to, we're meeting more and more people. That
we talked to Devin Taylor that we'd met there a couple weeks ago, who was there.
A very cool conversation.
Great artist,
yeah. Oh, amazing stuff going. He's got his hands in almost every cookie jar too, which is amazing. And he's got a really good perspective on how he goes about his work. A Freddie Beach Fan Fest was fun. We met a few new folks there. I got to see some familiar faces. I think we've started a tradition of kicking off every interview session with Sandy Carruthers. He just happens to, we just see him right across the room, and it's like, there's the first friendly face we want to go kind of wet the whistle for getting the positive juices going on the interview track. So
Sandy's awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had a few years away, but this year got to be our ninth issue, as it were, and we're looking forward to the comic handout next year, which is going to be our 10th anniversary issue, which was always such a landmark thing for comics, and that book was always extra special when you would get a hold of it, and so issue 10 should be fun.
Nice.
And just as a side note, no direct connection implied here per se, but issue 10 of Avengers, the annual issue of Avengers, is considered by some, including, like, if you look at Marvel creators like Brian Bendis always touted Avengers annual number 10 as one of the greatest comics ever made. And why? Of Michael Golden art, really a landmark at the time. But this is the issue where Rogue's first appearance, and this is the issue where Rogue meets up with Carol Danvers, lays a smooch on her and steals all of her power, nearly kills Carol, but completely derails her story trajectory. She has no power. And at that point, and Rogue, that's where she becomes super powerful. She
Wow.
stole Carol Danvers' power,
Hmm.
and we've been kind of waiting ever since to see whether is this a landmark milestone story beat going to happen for Carol, you
Hmm.
know, because they built her up in the
Yeah.
MCU as this uber powerful character. Well, one of the main story beats is for her story is that she loses that power
Hmm.
to Rogue.
Interesting.
And so, you know, the with we watched the Marvels movie, and you know, we got that little some little hints at Binary, which is a connection there. You know, hint at the X-Men at the end of the Marvels movie. I don't know. They're just things are getting closer
Yeah,
together.
the
You
pieces
know,
are falling into
the pieces
place.
are
Yeah.
falling
Yeah.
close, and it's just you know, comic fans who know these things are going to be like, are they going to do it? Are they hinting? So it's really fun that yes, D23 this weekend, just recently SDCC, the San Diego Comic Con, and all of the news that sort of dropped out of these recent events, and we have a nice clean slate moving forward. You know, there's lots of exciting things to talk about.
The excitement's
Um,
back. And you guys need for East Coast, by the way, on the top of the Coliseum, just one giant X.
I mean, it's 10.
That yeah.
10. I'm assuming this has crossed your mind. We didn't just come up with this, but yeah, that's
But
amazing. 10 is tends to be, and not coincidentally, but kind of coincidentally, we're heading towards our 10th anniversary the following January of 2026.
yeah,
So it's almost like we're
10 years and 300 episodes
yeah,
actually is what we're
yeah.
targeting.
We're all
So
growing old together, is what I'm saying. So it's
so listen,
palate cleanser.
yes, did this movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, we've all seen it. Did this sort of reignite? Because I think we talked about this in previous episodes with you, Brent, about that potential Marvel fatigue and whatnot. I mean, I checked the box office numbers, and it's close to $1 billion right now worldwide for this. It's did this reignite it for you guys?
well, you know, did it reignite it for the general audience? I would say absolutely yes.
Hmm.
You know, you know, I don't know that it needed reigniting for
Yeah.
me per se, but you know, certainly one thing that we as fans, you know, can really appreciate is that, yeah, like between certain announcements that happened that we can talk about later, that along with this release of this particular movie, yeah, palate cleanser for the entire earth. You know,
Yeah, right.
as
Totally, yeah.
far as headlines that are like, oh, this one's, you know, you've got, you know, the controversies with Kang, and oh no, this is going to affect their story direction, and you know, it's sort of mixed positive, negative, divisive.
Hmm.
You know what? Oh no, what's happening with with Marvel? It doesn't. It's not the best thing in the world anymore. What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, you know, Bob Iger comes back and empowers the Marvel decision makers to be able to, hey, okay, let's make sure that we're aligned with what fan expectations would be and make these things great. And what a way to start! Holy
Yeah.
smokes!
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, you know, had a great, you know, way to our action figure box at the our photo
Oh
backdrop
yeah.
there at the
Yeah.
Comic
Yeah.
Expo. What a just, you know, what a fun movie for it's very adult, of course. It's an
Yeah, it
adult
earned
restricted movie.
our rating. Yeah, my 16-year-old was mentioning, I gotta go see this, Dad. I'm like, I'm gonna have to take you because you can't go by yourself. It's one of those things that like I have to be a responsible parent and bring my child to it and expose them to it myself and live with that decision, right?
Yeah, and that's, you know, and then to me that there's controversy just right
Hmm.
in that, but you know, because it's not, you know, there's going to be an awful lot of parents who are going to be discerning to the point where, you got to find f bombs funny,
Yeah.
in
Yep.
order to really be able to enjoy this movie. If you don't, or if that's going to make you uncomfortable, this movie is not for you.
No.
So, Brent, I'm curious, what does this tell you then looking ahead? Because this was the first R-rated Marvel film, and Kevin Feige has said Blade is going to be R-rated now.
Yeah.
What, do we have, when we're looking at this, going, okay, the R-rated section's to your right?
Yeah, in a way, yes. And as we've kind of discussed in the past too, Kevin Feige has as much as said, yes, this was a Deadpool movie. They inherited the Deadpool movies from Fox. There's an audience expectation. Their promise to fans was that we're yes, we're Disney. We have the mouse ears, but we're not going to dilute your Deadpool.
Right.
They
And
sure
and
didn't.
They did
so
not.
and they sure didn't. They even amped
They
it up.
amped it. Yeah.
Absolutely. No. And that was their I think that was their message.
Yeah.
This is our message that, oh yes, it's Disney, but Disney can do R-rated, and this was this was their way of expressing that. And boy, is it ever, in a lot of ways. But for folks that went to see this movie, knowing full well it was an R-rated movie, boy did they ever love it. Boy did they ever
Yeah.
have a lot of fun. And it's been nothing but positivity
Mm-hmm.
online with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds just having a ball for
Yeah.
for the last month. Just post after post, and just you know
Every interview they do.
exactly, just everything is so positive and great. Such good energy, and Disney is looking to capitalize on that completely to have Marvel, just to kind of shake off some of the pointing fingers and stuff,
Yeah.
just Marvel. This is Marvel, and can be great. And don't you find it? And now this movie really is kind of an homage to the Fox, the now no
I
longer
was going to
there
ask you
Fox
guys,
universe.
what
Yeah.
was it because it just seemed like they just took dig after dig, especially when he turns around, looks at the camera, and goes, "We're signing with Disney." F-bomb Fox,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think what that allowed them to do was amazing though. Like the things,
Yes.
the characters, I loved they had a team up even, and a team up of some of the most unlikely folks to come together to form this. They weren't Avengers, they were something else, but what a motley crew of really great characters that you would never in any other like universe see together. And now it was it was a real big flex, I think, to bring these characters into and say, okay, look here, you want some X-Men? Here's some X-Men,
And not just that, but they also linked all of the original X-Men films, including the awful first Wolverine they did with Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and
Yeah, they did that.
linked it right up to the end of Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like to call out the guest appearances, certainly Electra,
Wow.
uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty cool. Blade,
Yep.
yeah.
and Channing Tatum's
Gambit.
take on Gambit,
Yeah.
which never really, which is that's kind of akin to the idea of having a
Tom
sorry.
Cruise's Iron Man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tom Cruise's Iron Man, that never happened. But
Mhm.
behind the scenes in Hollywood, that was going to happen at one point. Similarly, like Channing Tatum's uh, um, Gambit was there was steam built up there, and that was
Yeah.
going to happen until it didn't. So in a way, there's so many little inside jokes and nods throughout this movie, but that they built on some of them, and there was even more. So it's interesting to hear them talking about, well, yeah, did they have a conversation with Nick Cage to do a Ghost Rider? Yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
did. So there was all kinds of there was potential things that they were trying to make happen in this,
Yeah.
that were and in a way that only a Deadpool movie can. you know, you can put all kinds of, you can pepper in all of these little nods and things, and string them together into somewhat of a story, just, it's about the gags, right?
Yeah.
It is a comedy movie about the gags, and then you just have that added benefit of Hugh Jackman, just reverberating the deep emotional expression of a brooding Logan, Wolverine character, to really kind of hit those other notes, while Deadpool has a couple of, one or two serious notes amongst the myriad of humorous things going on. But really, it's a really neat counterbalance, isn't it, having those two
Yes.
characters together?
What did you guys? So I got a bunch of questions to ask you guys because what did you guys think about Kevin Feige's comment though that Hugh Jackman is our Wolverine
I would. What I like
going
it.
forward? I guess
So,
he has said this since it's been released.
so does this mean though that has Hugh Jackman agreed to this? I thought he was done.
Well, look, I don't think it wasn't their plan. It wasn't that at one point, it was not their plan to move forward with their X franchise to have Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. He's getting older.
Yeah.
He's an older man, but talk about wow, what a way to,
Rejuvenate the
Still
character.
got it.
yeah,
There's certainly I wasn't like cringing at all. It wasn't like, when you bring poor Patrick Stewart back for Picard season 3 and
Limited on his movements.
yeah,
Yes.
he's definitely
yeah.
aging, or Mike Ehrmantraut on Breaking Bad, like when you bring
Yeah.
him back for
Yeah.
Better Call Saul, but Hugh Jackman, I mean, Hugh Jackman is in Hugh Jackman form like from a decade ago, and there was no doubt in my mind like he can keep up with Ryan Reynolds, no problem. And he I mean, I don't know. We're getting as old as Hugh Jackman, so let's give the guy a break.
Well, what's interesting, I do find that, interesting. And of the many cool things, one of the coolest things in this movie is some of the homages that they make to comic appearances and things that the fans are going to go, oh, whoa, and really notice more so maybe than the general audience. But when you have
Well,
Wade Wilson is going through the timelines and he's looking for his Wolverine that he can bring back.
that one
Um,
on the X Brent, just I was like, I marked out for that because that's right out of the comic cover.
right,
Mhm.
and then but not only that, you have Patch in Madripoor
Yeah.
when
Yep.
you see, and then of those appearances, but you have um, one in the woods where you see Wolverine and the claws come up. And in the reflection of those claws, what do you see in the
The
background?
Hulk.
Just the Hulk's
Yeah.
appearance. And that is a famous comic cover, of Hulk's reflection in the claws. Wow. And
Mhm.
that's such a cool thing. It's such a satisfying thing for comic fans to see that. Uh,
Henry
there's
Cavill as Wolverine.
and
Yeah.
then there's Henry Cavill as Wolverine, which is funny too. But just going to the notion that you could do a Wolverine versus Hulk
Oh yeah.
confrontation
Yeah.
in a film,
Yeah.
and boy, isn't it interesting that they've made some other announcements that kind of suggest that, well, they are building up to Secret Wars here in just a couple of years, in a couple of movies, and it seems like they're in a spot where they can kind of do whatever they want before they do a reset. Does that open them up a new opportunity that maybe they didn't have before?
Hey, this is Laura Vandervoort, Elena Michaels from Bidden, and you are listening to the recap sequence with Jamie and Ryan.
Would they consider bringing Wolverine back? With the fan reaction when Hugh Jackman reaches back and he
Oh
pulls
yeah.
that hood down
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
his face,
Yeah.
and you finally, after all these years,
Mm-hmm.
see an in costume, comic accurate Wolverine, everybody lost their minds. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it was that was an amazing moment for them, and the costume looked
Yeah, they
fantastic.
did a
Yes.
really good job on the costume because sometimes they don't so much. So like,
And
yeah,
you remember back to the very first X-Men movie, right? Where they actually joked about it when he's
yes,
like, he's sitting in the plane. He goes, "What? You'd rather have yellow spandex right now?"
That's it.
And then what?
yeah,
We fast forward how many years, and boom, he's finally wearing it.
Well, that's it. So now we've seen in this Deadpool movie that guess what? You can do comic accurate costumes and it's not something to be ridiculed. It's something that the fans are going to freak out and
yeah,
love.
yeah,
And fans love the costumes in this.
yeah.
Does this help them reset their thinking? Because they've made lots of choices, kind of based on I don't know if the fans will think this is okay or not. So their fear of doing something really comic accurate has played out with mixed results in the past. Comic accurate. They didn't go with a comic accurate Modoc.
That's true. Yeah.
I did not like
And they
Modoc.
got raked over the
Nobody,
coals for
Yeah,
that one.
exactly. Nobody
I
liked
thought
that Modoc.
they did
That
a
wasn't Modoc.
they did a great gambit. Like the everything, like the
Grandma
headpiece.
costume is
Yeah, it was
exactly,
fine.
and
I
it was
wasn't like
great.
"Ew, that's weird." Like if I would have thought it was weird if they had to if they had completely either tried to under design it and make him just kind of seem like this cool like Cajun dude. But like or over design would have been weird too. But they went right with kind of in line with the yellow Wolverine costume, same kind of class, I guess.
But
And it was great.
I like how they went with the. I mean, they gave us the brown costume real quick
Oh
when
yeah,
he's hunting. He's looking for his Wolverine there. I like that, but the yellow one was just appropriate because we have just come off the heels of X-Men '97. So
yes.
anyone who's been watching it, they're familiar already with the outfit. Okay, we now know
Oh, timing was
that one,
really
right? Yeah,
good
like the
for
the timing was well done for all of this.
Yeah, it's almost like they planned this out.
right. Yeah, somebody somebody thought this through. Yeah.
Brent, I've got to ask though, did they drop a foreshadow of something to come? Because I thought it was hilarious, but Thor crying holding Deadpool. Was that
Well,
just a what do
Ryan
you think?
Reynolds has said, has they're playing. He's playing into it.
Okay.
That this is something that Oh, I know what this is. I know what this means, and I know what that is. And then just not saying anything about it. Is this going to be a moment that they can play on in the future? It's silly, but there obviously is something to it.
Mhm.
We just don't know what it is yet, and how serious to take it is entirely on us to wait and see.
Because I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed uh the opening scene when he's applying for a job to become an Avenger was one of the like I'm sitting there going, this the watching him do this job interview was priceless,
Happy.
right?
Yeah.
And then you see him later on when we finally the reveal that it's Chris Evans and he's about to do everyone thinks he's about to say the Avengers assemble and you see Deadpool marking out there or whatever and then the flame on. I just burst out laughing because
Yeah.
I thought I was like so well done on their part to create that anticipated buildup.
Yeah. Well, and for the audience too, they did Johnny Storm dirty, but they also gave that opportunity. You think you're getting a bearded Cap, so you get to see Cap, but it's not Cap. Kind of using the lexicon of Deadpool profanities, and it was that end credit,
Yeah.
wasn't it? When he
Oh yeah.
actually, it was so funny because you think that Wade's setting him up with Cassandra or whatever. And as it turns out, he said everything that he said. Anyways, I
Uh,
thought that was kind of
Or
funny.
did he?
I think it's worth remembering because even Kevin Feige in the setup has said in the past, he said this is Deadpool. A Deadpool is not what you would call a stable, of any bastion of a mental health in
Right.
any sort of way. Um, this is Deadpool. You do not know what is real and what isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, as far as you can say that about the whole story, but even in the Marvel comics, in the Marvel universe, you have to mix this world of Deadpool's acknowledgement of the audience and that he's in a comic book
Yeah.
with the fact that he is also a character playing a part in the story
Yes.
that in that aspect is very real,
Yes.
and that he's also you don't know what is and isn't real. So I was kind of finding that post credits scene, it was funny, but also kind of a reminder to me that just because this gag was set up, you know, in Deadpool's mind,
Yeah.
in Deadpool's mind, did Johnny Storm say all of this? And so he's just going back and and sort of showing you, um, but for the general purposes of the story, we're left with the notion that Johnny Storm actually did say this.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm going to side with when Johnny Storm was making those claims that those words have never
Never.
left my mouth ever.
Yeah.
I don't even know what half of those words mean. He says,
Yeah.
hey, I believed him.
It's an important good to note too. Yeah, he is the narrator. It's narrated by Deadpool, right? He's telling the story, and it's in his own. It's his recollection of events, I guess.
But at
So
the same time, we have to look at that because the TVA stuff, having watched Loki season 2, actually in charge of it at this point. Right? So this is after Loki has saved the timeline, and the security guard that had been after hunting him, she's now in charge of the timeline, of the TVA, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. So no, and exactly. Yep. And even in the context that we just mentioned of Deadpool Deadpool is kind of a multiversal being anyway, because of this nature of breaking the fourth wall.
mhm.
He's in our universe, talking to us at the same time as he's in this universe of this whatever story he's partaking in at the same time. So in a way, it's kind of fitting, I think, that he's in trouble with the TVA because the TVA doesn't know what to do with him,
Yeah.
a character like that. Uh, but yes, for all intents and purposes, this does move forward the TVA story in a funny
Mhm.
way,
Yeah.
and even this notion introduces the notion of a of a oh no, I'm going to lose the word for it. The anchor. Sorry, there's the word.
The anchor.
So
Yeah.
the anchor being in that character in that universe, if that the anchor being in that universe dies, then that universe starts to fizzle out and fray and come apart. And I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but they approached Kevin Feige about this afterwards and said, so, and maybe this is leading into some discussion later on here, but with the notion of, is it possible that Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man was the anchor being in the 616?
Mm-hmm. Good point.
And here we have incursions and all this stuff falling apart here in the last phase here. And Kevin Feige pointed and said, "I'm very glad that you noticed that and that excited you."
Interesting.
And he sort of affirmed that it was like, I'm very glad that you noticed that was something that was happening. So have they hit on something? So there was question about, did the Deadpool and Wolverine movie have implications moving forward in
Right.
the multiverse? And that might be one way, apart from, again, this moving things forward a little bit in the TVA between the multiverse, but this notion of anchor beings,
Yeah.
and are they going to play into that any further as they move forward into these next movies?
So I'm still curious, this dump zone that they were all put into, when we finally meet Cassandra Nova, who turns out to be probably one of the most powerful people in there at this time. And she's like, I've met a couple of Charleses, and she kills a Magneto. We don't know which one. Just that whole idea still leaves so many opportunities open if they ever wanted to go and revisit that at some point. Other than Cassandra Nova, who I really enjoyed as
Really well cast,
the villain in the movie.
Yeah, right on. And kind of circling back to the idea that, hey, could they do something else with Hugh Jackman? And the fact that he decided to, he survived the story after both he and Wade Wilson sacrificed themselves, but don't die, and then
Yeah.
here we are. Where are they now? It's to potentially move on. Now the best Wolverine, as he's being now touted as, and for that matter, Dogpool. And you know,
Yeah, dog pool
will
back.
will where will we see them? Will we see them again? Yeah, after this weekend, it's going to be $1 billion franchise, and
Yeah,
Well,
and
there's that bit at the end of it where he's talking to the head of the TVA and saying, "Can you? We had some people we met there that helped us get to where we are. Can you help them out?" You know, to me that alludes we've heard Wesley
yeah,
Snipes is going to be in the new Blade movie.
yeah.
You know, is this how they reintroduce Blade into this film that seems to have problems forever getting off the ground?
yeah, there's some and it's always hard to say whether just what is a fanfare
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and what's real. But talking about hey, Blade, Wesley Snipes Blade, it kind of needs to have a send off, and that's what Ryan Reynolds has been saying. He needs a send off kind of a film, and in a way, maybe this was it. To have his appearance kind of get acknowledged. It's acknowledged in a joking way. If he were to appear in the Blade movie, then that might be kind of cool. It would be a nod. I don't
yeah,
see him, being. I guess honestly, it's hard to say right now.
Mm-hmm.
They are working on the film, but it has been avoided as far as they don't want to put themselves in that's the same boat of having all of these mixed emotions. They don't want mixed emotions
yeah,
associated with all the fun stuff that they've got coming up. So are they talking about the Blade movie that could, is potentially late next year? They haven't mentioned any change of date at all, but they've also not mentioned the movie at all
Yeah.
in any of these in any of the announcements. They're not even acknowledging it because they're not there, and so they don't want to talk about it. Um, Whereas people, and give people an opportunity to be negative.
Right.
They just don't want that.
so does a movie like this, like just the success of it, like, oh, sure, they knew at Disney that this was going to do well, just from the run up to it, but does this now send everybody back into a meeting and say, what can we now do with this that can, you know what I mean? Like, these plans that they have post Deadpool Wolverine surely can and will change, because obviously people have embraced what they just saw.
100%. And the welcome of Deadpool into the MCU, in grand Deadpool fashion, was a huge success. They knew it would be, and so but they did. They pulled it off. They stuck the landing in a way that's proving itself still currently. Excuse me, and you know, uh, it's hard to ignore success and the excitement that fans have had for this. What are they going to do next? Even Ryan Reynolds is saying, "Look, we're just celebrating this win
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. I have no idea. I can't tell you whether I'll be Deadpool again. I hope to be," he says, but I can't tell you. I
Do
mean,
you think they were looking at this, Brent, as wondering whether this would actually be as successful as it currently is?
to me, they knew this was going to be successful. They
Yeah,
knew this was going to be a win. All things would point to it being a win.
yeah,
They just had to craft it in such a way that it would just deliver on being satisfying, which could have been in any number of ways. But the way that the things that they chose, they chose a certain path and they got the most out of that. And great, all the power to them. It was great. There was all kinds of gags, battle moments where there are costumed comic book characters going into battle and, seeing just these crazy battle scenes and, just super satisfying stuff for comic fans and general audiences alike. I'll add,
yeah.
it's extremely important right now for Marvel movies to be financially successful.
Yes.
It's extremely important. And because of it's not just a fan reaction and all the mix, having an impact on the box office and the movies making less and less and less. That's not how the corporation wants that to go. And
No.
so
Yeah.
Bob Iger stepped in You know, every one of these movies moving forward, we're seeing, okay, we're introducing bits to the fans and the general audience that they're going to be really excited about.
And it's not just the movies. We should also say that it's the Disney Plus shows as well.
Yeah. Oh, it was
right. Like they've scaled everything back. We have one this year,
Yeah.
and then I think two next year. So
and that's very, very, very true. Now, the dynamic of the Disney shows is different for, keeping that subscriber base than
Right.
it is for the box office.
Yeah.
Disney investment, they need the Marvel movies to be billion-dollar movies. They need that to happen.
Hi, this is Will Friedle, co-host of I Hear Voices, and Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World, and you are listening to the Recap Sequence with Jamie and Ryan.
And out of the gate here, boom, here's our first one, and success. Great, check mark. Next, and then we have, February, with that's why they're showing us the Hulk, the Red Hulk. We just saw last night. We saw what the Red Hulk, what Harrison Ford's Red Hulk looked like. They're doing that for a very good reason. They want butts and seats. They want these movies are, they're not doing this for nothing. They are doing this for them to be successful financially. And then on the like with Agatha and the other shows, the Disney Plus shows, these are support materials. They want the audience to watch that, keep their Disney subscriptions and watch these and get excited about what's going on in this world that's going to keep them going to the box office or, the theater and spending their money there too. So make no mistake, these are strategic decisions about being successful, being a successful entertainment company.
Yeah. I guess got two things I wanted to, before we move on to, all the other big news that was happening other than the movie that was making money. The Deadpool core, they released a list of who was who in that. The Reynolds family makes an entire appearance on this, if people weren't aware. But yes, Lady Deadpool was his wife, Blake Lively. Kid Pool, the mouthy one, was his 7-year-old daughter, Inez. And then Baby Pool was his boy Olin. Cowboy Pool, I had no idea. Like when I watched this again, was Matthew McConaughey. I never caught that at all. Did you catch the voice of Headpool? Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, so I knew Nathan Fillion was going to be in it. I didn't quite catch it on the voice, and again, the Matthew McConaughey, it's like blink you miss it,
right?
But I think it's funny because they go through all that trouble, and it's like he's what's under the costume. It's like, you didn't even know, right?
I know. What else was it? Random Deadpool was actually Tom Holland's brother, Harry Holland. Nice Pool was Ryan Reynolds himself.
Got those guns.
Canada Pool was Alex Kishkovich, who's a stuntman. He must be Reynolds' stuntman.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I think that because they look alike.
And then Welsh Pool is Paul Mullins. If you watch Welcome to Wrexham, which is the other thing that Ryan Reynolds does, he is the star kicker for the Wrexham soccer team, and which was hilarious. And then Nick Pauly was the dancing pool who did the open by NSYNC.
So that wasn't Ryan Reynolds doing the dance.
No, it was not. It was not.
What a fourth wall.
I know. They're still trying to find attached names to others of them, but one of the things, Brent, that I really like, was chocked full of Easter eggs from just the first Marvel movie that came out was the interview with Happy and Deadpool. And you look around the room in the office that he's in, and just the fact that he makes fun of Happy Hogan. I thought you were just a driver. Oh yeah, then you became the security guard, and he's going through his little his ladder of ascension. Yeah, right. But it was the things like you saw the half shield from Iron Man 2 or Iron Man. Yeah, you had the various masks. I caught the Phil Coulson's cards were right behind Happy on the credenza. It was just chock full of stuff. The briefcase from Iron Man 2 was sitting there.
Yeah. Though they had, and that's meta in itself, of course. Jon Favreau, having successfully launched the first, like with this movie in the MCU, with Iron Man, considered to be kind of the starting point in a lot of ways. and him being the interviewer
Yeah.
is great, but at the same time, he's also Happy Hogan. He's the driver, and he was Tony Stark's friend and assistant, yeah. So they get to play on all kinds of things. Just the comments about Kevin Feige not really doing this anymore, doesn't do interviews or
Yeah.
and
So San Diego Comic-Con's come and gone, and probably we'll get to some of the other stuff they talked about. But I mean, Brent, to you, the biggest announcement right before that was the Russo brothers, to me, coming back to direct both Avengers Secret Wars, which is coming in 2027, and then 2026 Avengers Doomsday,
Yeah.
and then the reveal of who was going to be Victor Von Doom. I mean, just what were you thinking when you saw that?
like everyone else, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you touched on this right beforehand. We were talking all the way up, leading up was going to be Avengers Kang Dynasty, and then we had all those issues behind the scenes that happened. So that got scrapped, not knowing what was going to replace it, if it was getting replaced.
Yeah, what are your feelings? So they replaced Jonathan Majors essentially with Robert Downey Jr. They just bring him back. What are your feelings on that?
Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say yet. I don't know. There may be some assumption there that Jonathan Majors is, like out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're not talking about Jonathan Majors. That there's a distinction, right? So they're not doing anything that is seemingly related at all,
or brings attention to it,
this divisive situation, because they don't need that. They do not need that. But that also, the audience is fickle, as we know, and so a couple years down the road, are people even going to care about this?
Yeah.
Yep.
And to the point where, in Secret Wars, can Kang still play a role in Secret Wars? 100% he can.
Yeah.
They're not talking about it right now. What I think is smart and is sort of revealing to how the inner workings of this goes. Super smart of them. Again, they need these movies to not just rock everyone's world. They need these movies to be financially successful. They need them to be. And so how do you do that? Well, having the Russo brothers come back for, because even during Endgame and the build up to Infinity War, the Russo brothers acknowledged, well, maybe the only thing that might bring us back would be Secret Wars. They as much as said that. I mean, this before Secret Wars was really even a thing.
Yep.
As they just said, like they invested all of their energy and into those movies, and they needed a break, and they got it. But those movies were huge, biggest movies at the time in the world ever. Okay, at the time. So now here they've got them coming back. You know that you can trust them to take all of these threads that have been created in the Marvel story and do them justice, acknowledge them, find them, the way to get the best moments possible out of those. That's their whole process, to the point where Robert Downey Jr. was saying, I'll come back if it's these guys. I'll work with them.
Okay.
That's right.
Wow.
That was a conditional thing. He said, if these guys are doing it, I will do it.
Okay.
And so, it's a formula of, okay, they made a choice. How do we get something that's really going to work here? And for them to, if the secret, either version of the Secret Wars story, if you go right back to the original, or you look at the more recent, Jonathan Hickman take, where we're getting the notion of the incursions and the universes sort of crossing over and the whole, this is all coming from Jonathan Hickman's story. In both of those versions, Doctor Doom plays, he's an essential player in those stories. No bones about it. He is an essential player. So where are you going to start off his story? So it's 100% logical for them to, all right, let's get, let's have Doom. Let's get him lined up a bit with the Doomsday story. Now that movie is not clearly, and it was the director's choice. If Kevin Feige says, okay, if we have you guys come back, what would you do? What would you like to do? They put that in the director's hands because that's how they operate. They want them to have how are you going to create a movie that's going to be successful for us? Well, what would they do? We would tell the Doom story leading up to Secret Wars. Get him established. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
They had already set us up for the Kang story. We have after credit scenes that show all the iterations of Kangs.
Yeah.
And that was ready to roll to tell the Kang story. They had to they changed course a little bit. Now they're going to tell us a Doom story. Are we going to get a Fantastic Four? I believe he will make an appearance, if not a full. We might get a tiny introduction to that character, a tease.
Brent, do you think this is why they did it then at San Diego to introduce Doom, knowing because Fantastic Four they announced started filming back on July 30th, like the first day of filming. So with the other movies that we have coming up, do you think they did this purposely to say this is Doom? Guess who Doom's going to be? And now Doom's going to start popping up in a couple of others leading up to Doomsday.
That's exact. Well, it's one of the yes. It lays the groundwork for them to proceed on this path, and everyone's on board. And that's the important part, is that everyone is on board. Right. So they use San Diego as this platform. Let's change the narrative. Let's get the narrative to what we want to be. Is everyone's excited about? They can't wait to see these next Marvel movies. Well, how do you do that? San Diego is your platform.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do? So what do? You introduce, like they said, well, Doctor Doom, possibly the most important casting in all of the Marvel universe. And they're right. They had, Doctor Doom's a big deal. So this is, in a way, it's a little controversial because this isn't Victor Von Doom in the way that you would have a unique actor who would be able to continue in this role. This is Robert Downey Jr. So you can look at it in a couple of ways. Are we going to get a Robert Downey Jr. Playing Victor Von Doom? That will you never see his face? Will you just see, if you see his face through the eyes like you would, you never see, like in the comics, you never see Doom's face until Secret Wars happens, because as soon as Doom has power, one of the first things he does is cures his face, like fixes his face.
Yeah.
Well, and then you see him. So that's really interesting how they're going to do that. But as a character in the comics, for many decades, you never saw Doom's face. You just knew that he was scarred up underneath it.
So could this be a Doom from another timeline, and we don't meet the Doom from 616 timeline, potentially somewhere else?
That's the question. Is this going to be like a performance capture like Josh Brolin's Thanos? And that allows Robert Downey Jr. to continue to play Doctor Doom into the future, because he's going to have that commanding performance that the Russo brothers like for this character that they're going to do? Or is this a version of from the multiverse of Victor Von Doom that happens to noticeably look like Robert Downey Jr. or Tony Stark?
Yeah.
And then they're going to play on that because they've established all of this multiversal. You can have people that are the same, Johnny Storm, Steve Rogers, that look the same as each other, but they're not the same person. they've established all this, that you can have this sort of thing happen in the multiverse. Now are we going to have this where you have the Marvel characters who are, this beloved character that sacrificed himself to help save the world, the universe in Endgame, and now all of a sudden the bad guy, or Victor Von Doom, looks the same as Tony Stark. The Russo brothers are not above milking a moment like that,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
well, or like this is kind of is it just that you mentioned the anchor character? Is this a way to kind of reset something else? Like, is it a long shot where the audience is going to be frustrated that, why can't we get Tony to come around, like, and realize he's not this evil, whatever? Is it going to be that kind of thing? I mean, maybe the characters will struggle with that and the audience doesn't get any say in it, of course. But like, that's sort of, that's where, when you had mentioned the whole idea of them establishing this cause and effect of anchor characters and what happens when a Tony Stark disappears, what happens when a Tony Stark reappears, like, is that a solution, like a hopeful solution that maybe over a course of a few films, you try and get to that goal, and maybe you don't, maybe you do, but maybe is that a possibility too, that they're going to have that potential to, is it him? Is it another Tony that just happened to go a different path, happened to end up evil as Doom does?
This is what the Russo. This is exactly
They do
what
this. Yeah,
the Russos
they do
just
this.
laid this out right here, and we have now spent the last couple minutes talking about this and completely took our minds off everything that had to do with the Kang dynasty.
Yeah, who cares?
This
Thanks,
is
man.
the real reason that they did this.
Yeah.
This is they had everybody has been talking about this, nonstop.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit befuddled. They don't know exactly how this is going to work, but boy, did it get everyone's attention, and everyone has been talking about this in a
it's the
positive
same
way, right? Everyone's engaged now, and they're excited. And what are they doing?
Yeah.
And so now everyone needs to know.
Yeah, they did the same thing with the first Deadpool trailer that came out for Deadpool Wolverine, and everyone thought Deadpool was fighting in Sokovia because the way they launched, they showed those quick clips. We all suddenly thought, oh, we've just been gone back to the Age of Ultron, not knowing that he's years after Logan has died and he's where his body's buried.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And they certainly did that on purpose to it's the same setting. It feels the same.
It's interesting. It's a good PR move.
It really is.
Like changing the top of a political ticket or something. It sends the other side into a confused frenzy. All of a sudden, we're not talking about all kinds of things, right? It's brilliant, and it's absolutely working. So yeah.
And they did that earlier on in the same day in Hall H when they introduced the cast from, well, the Thunderbolts cast was there, but when they did Captain America 4, and they brought out Anthony Mackie and a few of the others, and then the big surprise was Harrison Ford was there, because let's face it, I know Falcon and Winter Soldier got some grief about not being as good as it could have been and whether people would buy him as Captain America. I think, well, you just added, one of the biggest actors who's never had any part to do with the MCU whatsoever, and Harrison Ford, and he's out there, going like this, and people are like just eating it up, right?
100%. And this is what SDCC or San Diego Comic-Con is all about for them. It's getting these ideas out there that are exciting, positive, seriously, Harrison Ford and out there hulking out and playing around with them. And the footage that came out last night at D23 shows Harrison Ford's Red Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks fantastic.
Yep.
It looks really good, and him coming right up to the screen, and you can see it's like Mark Ruffalo in Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, except you see Harrison Ford there in the Red Hulk.
Yeah.
And it looks amazing. It looks really cool.
Hey, this is Jamie.
And this is Ryan.
And we're the Recap Sequence.
Be sure to tune in to us every Wednesday night on CHSR 97.9 FM or online at chsrfm.ca at 7 p.m. Atlantic, 6 p.m. Eastern.
And if you don't catch us live, you can catch our podcast on Spotify, on Amazon, anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And we also have a YouTube channel you may have been watching. And if not, you should be. Catch us on YouTube at Recap Sequence.
And subscribe.
Subscribe. Yeah, please.
So that's exciting, and that kind of excitement is going to go a long way to getting everyone out to see this, to see what this movie is going to be all about.
Now, I do want to ask you, because I know there has been some people who have not been very high on this, but the Fantastic Four name, like the movie title, was released with a brief synopsis. It's going to be called Fantastic Four: First Steps. It began filming on July 30th, and it's described as a retro film of the 60s, but Kevin Feige has also said that the Fantastic Four will be appearing in both Avengers films. A lot of people didn't like the First Steps tagline.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's interesting too. We've been getting they're filming now, and just again last night they had some from far away, but you could see there's some action going on. They're doing some filming, and someone that looked very much like Sue Storm carrying a baby. You know, so is the first family, is this is this movie going to have going through sort of through the time of their career in such a way that they're going to be facing multiple foes in this, so maybe we're getting a bit, not so much retrospective, but we're going to be able to kind of move forward through their story a little bit before they end up in some fashion meeting up with the characters in our universe. But the idea that Franklin Richards could be born, and seeing Franklin Richards is a very powerful character and plays a part in the resolution of the Hickman Secret Wars, and establishing that might be why they're calling it First Steps. So it, as often is the case, they have a multi-pronged kind of it satisfies a number of different inferences, but that could be one of them, and it could be again a hint at, well, okay, maybe that's where they're going with this. And so in addition to the fact that this is the first family is getting themselves established, and perhaps in their universe this was how things really got started. So First Steps could mean multiple things, and we'll see what that means.
Couple other things that came out of D23, the full trailer for Agatha Harkness. It was Agatha all. It looks really good. It's piqued my interest. September 18th is the release date on Disney Plus. The first 2 episodes will drop. What'd you think when did you see the trailer? What were your thoughts on that one?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. The song performance, and they did the song performance on the D23 stage as well. I think it's great, and that theatrical take, it just furthers the Agatha all along theming that they started. Aubrey Plaza's, obviously going to be an interesting addition to this whole scenario, kind of helping Agatha break free from Wanda's, for lack of a better word, prison, that she's trapped in. I think there's all kinds of potential, and the Witch's Road and the fear aspect, I think they can have some fun with this. So we'll see what's going to happen. I'm very curious to see what the bigger implications will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
That could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Where they could take it. As far as how it connects to the other movies and things like that, I'm not exactly sure where to speculate, but we do have a couple of movies that they've, like with the updated slate. We do have a couple of flagpoles, marking dates, and we still don't know what those movies are
Yeah.
yet. So there's room for them to be to announce something coming out of some of these shows that we're going to get in the near future. Next year's pretty much lined up, but 2026, 2027, there are dates there, but we don't know what the movies are going to be.
And is it fair to say that perhaps Disney and Marvel don't know either, and they're just kind of let's see what we can put in there based on how we do with this. Let's see how these are, because it really like I like to think they've got this long view, but they have no qualms, it seems, about taking sharp turns. That makes sense to them at the time, I guess, but they can certainly recalibrate and change direction as they've done, and do the whole smoke and mirrors and have us talking about completely other subjects, and looking forward to completely different things. I kind of like that they're leaving it open, and let's see how it goes.
Well, and I think they also didn't know, like, I don't think they were expecting when Agatha was introduced in WandaVision that,
Who's
4 years ago.
Popular character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right now, boom, they've got something, and this could open up different venues for us down the road.
Yeah.
Well, I personally believe, like, if we think about 2026, and we've got two dates that are there on either side of the doomsday, and 2027, there's we've got again an early in the year and a late in the year date that we don't know what they are. They know what they are. They have a plan what they are, because they have to put those movies into production, in 2025 and 2020, and now, in order for those to hit, those times. They're not talking about them yet, because again, maybe there's reasons for them to, let's say, for example, okay, let's say that there's one of them that has a Kang component. Okay, we're not talking about Kang right now. Stay quiet on that until we get through some of this other stuff. It might be a reason why, but there's also things like, let's say one of those movies is The Midnight Suns, and we have a horror, or Ghost Rider, or something like that. That would be huge, but they're not ready to talk about it yet, because let's say Agatha Harkness is going to introduce something.
Yeah.
That is going to, we've got the, Man Thing and the Werewolf by Night, and we Moon Knight, even a little. We have some things that have been introduced here, but if let's say Agatha is going to have something, and I'm just using that as an example. I don't know, but just to illustrate, they could have something that they want us to get excited about, that they haven't, that they don't want that announcement to undermine the excitement that could happen with what gets introduced, let's say in Agatha. So maybe they'll be introducing one of those titles after we get our story for Agatha, or after we get our Fantastic Four story and it introduces characters, and then they'll tell us, okay, and then this is going to here, and you're super excited now because now you see where this is going, and but to say it now might just be a waste, because they're not going to have that momentum to build on.
Is it almost, does it feel like to you guys that, like, we were just kind of mentioning this whole idea of this Deadpool versus Wolverine, palate cleanser and a reset, and are we feeling the same excitement we were feeling like 10 years ago? It almost feels like we are, because
it does.
I feel like maybe 8 or 9 months ago, if we were having this conversation, we were kind of dwelling on the Kang thing. We'd be a little unsure about the Marvels and Eternals. We're not talking about that anymore either. So would you say like they've successfully thrown everything back on track? And I wouldn't say that they've carefully placed it, but they've just kind of here, and we're back on track, and the train is moving forward.
Well, I would agree with him on that, but Cap 4 is also going to deal with one of the Eternals issues, because we have the frozen head coming out of the ice. But I think, to go back to all this, Marvel didn't have anything at San Diego last year. Hall H, we haven't really had anything big. This was the first one, and I think this goes back to what Brent's saying. They're just having us talk about everything that's positive right now, and feeding us stuff that we can have these conversations.
Yeah, and there are story pieces that are, we've watched shows. Look, Secret Invasion. We talked about Secret Invasion. What's the fallout from Secret Invasion? Well, guess what? The flow of that went from Secret Invasion, the Nick Fury story, where there was a scroll factor going on.
Yeah.
But then the Marvels movie did poorly at the box office. So they're giving that some space. They're not talking about scrolls, but that doesn't mean same thing with the Eternals. Eternals was a very divisive movie in some ways, but there's 100% story fallout from that. Um, um, Celestial, cracking through the Earth's core here, and but are they dealing with? Yeah, yeah. So now we're finally some time has passed. A number of years have passed since Eternals, and its mixed reaction. They're dealing with the story now, and so there are we can see if we look at some of the recent Secret Invasion, She-Hulk, some of these shows have implications that left things. There's unresolved story stuff that they have to address somewhere, and they're going to do it, but they're being selective about what they talk about
and when they talk about it.
And when they talk about it, exactly.
I do like how they have embraced the TVA and and brought it into a couple of films. And I didn't really I knew there was going to be a TVA element to the Deadpool movie, but I didn't realize how
prominent.
Well, just how regular it was. How they just put it in there, like, yeah, you guys know this is the TVA, this is Hunter so and so, and yeah, like this makes.
That's true.
There was no, amping it up. There was no change of scenery. It was it. It was as you saw it on Loki, and I thought that was great that they and to bring that element in. So not only are they, you got Deadpool moving from Fox into the MCU, but they're bringing in this successfully, I think, bringing in this Loki element that just has become a normal, and maybe that's to kind of counter some of the Quantumania. I don't know, but like they at least have that in there, and I think that's a very successful kind of inclusion of it without making a huge deal of the fact that it was going to be in there in the first place.
Well, it's tough. It's tricky, right? Yes, Loki was super successful. It was a very successful Disney Plus series. Did and coming out of that success, of course, Ryan Reynolds and them deciding what the story is going to be. Well, here's an interesting way that we could handle this. That gives them a window of what worked, what production really worked and it was really successful and has a lot of positive energy around it that they can use, because they're not going to necessarily play on, Adam Warlock or characters that were established, but maybe don't have that level of excitement quite going for it. But the TVA did. Loki was a huge hit.
Yeah.
And so Ryan Reynolds is like, okay, well, let's play on this. And Marvel's like, okay, you can use the TVA. That worked. And there's so but it limits their window of what, okay, now you got to build it,
Yes.
in a short amount of time, make this happen, and then get into the theaters while it's still relevant and while it's still viewed as a positive thing. It's not easy. It's not an easy business.
No, it's not.
And they are like kind of what you guys are suggesting. There's some fluidity to how they're maneuvering this to keep things on track the way that they want them to be. So it's a bit of a juggling act for them.
Well, and to include the TVA without actually including the the Loki part of it, because I mean, there's a significant
they did that very well
change to how everything is working right now in the universe, all of them, because of how Loki ended. But they don't have to touch that. They don't even have to get into that. So they're able to bring it in without all of the other baggage, I guess, that it brings with it.
It was well done that one.
Yeah.
No, I
No,
agree.
I was great. It was like
Yeah.
seeing a familiar face. It's a cameo, TVA cameos. They're
Yeah.
great, and I do like to see when they're able to bring in the sort of the television, the episodic stuff into the film universe and have it work seamlessly. Because then you're rewarded for having put the time in
Yeah.
to watching these other series in one way, and then you're going to when they come back on again. Here we are with the marketing. You know, Disney's going to sell its subscriptions. We're going to come back and we're going to watch it. If there's more TVA on TV, we're going
Yeah.
to watch it, right? Hopefully.
Exactly.
This is Summer Glau, River Tam from Firefly, and you are listening to the recap sequence with Jamie and Ryan.
Couple more real quick ones. The other thing they did at D23, I haven't seen it yet. I was trying to find it, but I couldn't. But fans there got to see the first trailer for Daredevil Born Again. They had Vincent D'Onofrio, Charlie Cox, and the Punisher himself, John Barenthal, all on stage. And they've begun production on season 2 now already.
That's right.
Oh.
So yeah, they're working on season 2 now. So we've got this. There's a degree of confidence that they have. I did get to see that trailer that they leaked. Some great dynamics between Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, as the as Matt Murdock and the Kingpin. It's that's a tremendous dynamic. But we get to see lots of things. We get to see a hint at the White Tiger. We get to we get to see some characters that we're familiar with. We get to see John Barenthal's Punisher, interacting there with Matt Murdock. So a great teaser, and this is coming up in March. So
yeah.
Not all that far away, and great that we know that what we're getting, and it's part of the beauty of all this, and something that Marvel's really been historically quite good at, and is just you have that calendar.
Mm-hmm.
You have the story. It's like collecting comics.
Yeah.
You know that you're looking forward to that next issue.
Yeah.
Because the story's continuing.
Did they give any hint, Brent, that this was pre or post Echo?
This is post Echo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And post She-Hulk?
And post She-Hulk, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yes. So I mean, we're coming right out of that into this. Yes, we are, because of where Wilson Fisk is.
So it is the mayoral thing.
Yeah, you see him. Yes, where they've teased
Right.
that story,
Yep.
and that's where they're going. And so we're going to be getting some of the stuff that they've teased us towards, and it looks good. It looks good.
The other thing was, and I'm really happy about this stuff here, is Emmy nods. The Emmy Awards are coming up soon, and there were Emmy nods given out. Loki Season 2 has been nominated for Outstanding Fantasy Sci-Fi Costumes, Outstanding Special Effects, and Outstanding Mixing. Echo is up for Outstanding Fantasy Sci-Fi Costumes, and X-Men 97 Outstanding Animated Program.
Of course.
It's funny how X-Men 97, I think, has done a really great job of reinvigorating that audience
Yes.
that grew up and had such attachment to that particular animated series. And I'm not entirely. I still have a couple episodes left in the series. I'm behind on it, but I'm far enough in that I've seen some of the powerful stuff that they did in some of those stories. There's some really tremendous links with comic stories, Genosha. There's all kinds of powerful storytelling going on in that animated series, and they've successfully reinvigorated their animation lineup as well. So this, it's good. This is all good. Good positive momentum.
Yeah, it's a great time to be my age, I guess. When you think about it, because all of these things have been kind of maturing along as like for fans to say that this is kind of an exclusive club of middle-aged men. That that's the worst implication I could probably make on this. But like the comfort zone is there, and it's like they know they're tapping into. It's like you've got your base. You've got your base audience, but then it's bringing in those undecideds, right? Like not to bring politics into everything, but it's kind of like the what Marvel and Disney are doing is really creating a bunch of on ramps for people to come in to an established base of a tolerant fan base, I guess, that has been kind of with all of these stories for going on like 35 years, but longer, of course. But like you talk about X-Men 97 is a great kind of starting point, I guess, for someone like me as would I've been a teenager then? Maybe no.
Yeah. Well,
At 22, I guess I'm old.
well, okay. First of all, you're not old. None of us are. We're all kids at heart.
Yes.
Because I mean, really,
Sure.
would you guys? And I get my groceries at Sobeys. I just say it. I don't get it where you guys are, and apparently I've got to now change spaces because are you too old to be collecting Marvel cards? Can you guys please? Because this is YouTube. Can you show what you showed this, Brent, at the start of the
I
show?
just have my favorite Iron Man from this series. But yeah, Brent raised a very excellent point before we got started. He said, "Have you seen this?" So, Brent, you've got the
You've
book.
got it there,
You've got
don't
the
you?
actual collector's book. There's like 90 some cards that if you're a superstore, I assume
There it is.
I assume this is Loblaws Canada. There's a game coming out. I have no idea what it's about. It's just every time I spend $25 on my groceries, I get a couple packs of cards. So how do you have them all? How many of them do you have? Have you got a full collection or?
I've got a deck here.
Yeah.
But yes, this is fun. And talk about interesting, I'll say it, marketing strategies
Yes.
and trying to flip the narrative on things. I don't know if that's really what they're up to or not here, but
Yeah.
grocery prices in recent years have been certainly something that has been on the minds of folks. So maybe it's to capitalize on the positivity that we have around
Sure.
Marvel, but
Yeah.
they've got this pretty fun program with the company that owns Shoppers Drug Mart and the various Real Atlantic superstores, and if you for every $25 spent, you can get a little pack of 4 cards. There's the list of the full
Okay.
90.
Wow.
I gotta get this book.
90 cards. The book's like
Yeah.
$5,
Yeah.
but the book serves as a place for you to store your cards. So like on the one side, you can actually, you can slide in your card into its own spot.
Yeah.
But there's a game. There's a game associated with playing with the cards. So there's power cards, but then there's also character cards. Here's an Infinity Gauntlet.
I have that one. I have that one.
But it's funny because here we're chatting a couple of things like I'm chatting with my cousins, my family members. We all grew up on comics, and we're posting photos of here's my doubles,
Yeah, right.
and everyone's posting photos of here's my doubles, and you can trade, and because you want to get the full collection to be able to
How
to play
close
the
are you
game.
then, Brent, to the full collection?
Well, considering that this has only been started here for a week or two, a couple weeks.
Yeah.
There's a Falcon, a foil Falcon.
Wow.
I don't have the full collection yet, and I haven't even counted these yet. I've just kind of got them out of the package, and they're not in my book yet. But it's a fun thing, and that
And how many
people are
cards per
enjoying it.
pack?
It's
Four.
four,
Four
and
cards.
you punch them out, and you don't
Yep.
know what you're getting.
Okay.
Yeah, you punch them out, and then you see what you've got, and then you can put them into their spot. You can see what your spares are. You can trade with your friends, and so in addition to your every $25 spent gives you a little card of 4 cards that you sort of break open and then plug them out. For every $25 spent, you get 4 of those cards. But then on top of that, they have signage around the stores, and you can come across the signage, and the signage will say you get a bonus pack if you spend $15 in Coca-Cola
Yeah.
products.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
30, you spend $30 in Tide or whatever it happens to
Yeah.
be.
What a
So
pain for the cashier, but
exactly. And I've had
yeah.
conversations already with them to help
Oh,
them
I feel for
understand
them.
how
Yeah.
to actually, and it on top of my, full dollar value purchase, which you break down into 25s, and then I
Yeah.
get packs for each. I'm also supposed to get an extra pack for this because I bought 2 cases of Coke and I bought some
Yeah.
Tide or whatever it happens to
See,
be.
Loblaws doesn't know who they're messing with. Hey,
Oh
they get the
man,
comic nerds in there now going,
that's
well,
right.
wait a second. You better train
Yeah,
your staff
you're
because we
gonna
want to
be
make sure we get
no
the
that
right stuff.
and
Whoops.
their system isn't all fully up to their
No.
system's supposed to tell them, oh, it said I was supposed to get 7 packs of cards, but wait,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to get 8 packs of cards.
Yeah.
So there's all those conversations that they're now inundated with, but it's it's certainly working.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going back and I have not done the haggle yet, but I did the first time I did correct them and say, I should get 4 packs here. I spent $100. But I didn't see I didn't see the kind of the multipliers around the store. But yeah, I was
Now
buying,
you're gonna pay more attention when you're going for your groceries.
sure. Well, I was buying cat litter and I saw this flag for Marvel stuff. I thought it was just had to do with the cat litter. I was like, okay, well, I'll buy this. And then I realized, I read more, as one should, the fine print. I was like, oh, it's just on the overall spend. So yeah, it incentivizes for folks like us, at least. It incentivizes
Well,
heading back to buy bacon you don't need. Like I'll sure.
That's right.
$10 for bacon. I'm almost there.
You could
I
use
mean,
an extra bacon or two.
Yeah, it's a card and a half.
my only saving grace is I used my scene points that I can get collecting at Sobeys to go and see Deadpool.
Oh, well, that's
There we go.
there
So
you
I
go.
wasn't paying
Working the
for
system.
that, and my wife used her points to get concessions.
So I'll do you one better. I used I think it was like $100 worth of my optimum points to get my groceries, which also in turn gave me my four first packs of cards. So work the system however you need to.
There you go.
Get your hands on these cards, and we'll get a tabletop going at some point. Once we get everybody gets all 90, we really need to reconvene and give this a real go. And we'll drink some PC cola while we're at it.
Right on. Fun things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, guys, this has been a great chat. It's been great to catch up with you, Brent. Look, more Marvel coming, more announcements coming. So who knows?
Well, we got 9 episodes of Agatha coming up, and we'll be talking to Brent because I'm curious now to get his take once he's seen it.
Sure, yeah.
Because we don't know with this one what it's going to spin out for us.
Yeah. So looking forward to catching up again. Fall is cruising towards us here. So we don't have to wait too much longer for some Agatha. And
is that it then, Brent? Just real quick for the end of the year for 2024 for Marvel at this point?
Yeah,
that we know of.
Yep. So we have Agatha coming up here, and then we're moving into next year is going to be full.
February with Cap 4.
Yep, starting with February, and then into March with Daredevil, and then we have our movies with Thunderbolts.
Yeah,
we've got a full slate and of stuff coming up. We don't know what's happening with Blade, whether that's next year or not. But beyond that, we know that we're going to be getting. We've got some movies and shows that are all going to be lined up. We've got lots to talk about next year. It's going to be very full.
We'll keep that dialogue going. Keep collecting the cards. I may send you a list of my doubles.
Right on.
Right on. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Brent. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.